suppose my story really is one of is one of transformation. Starting out with BT and then rolling into being an entrepreneur. I suppose as an entrepreneur, I thought in my mind I would earn 100k in the first year, kick back, and that'll be it. It didn't quite go as according to plan. My first business pretty much failed miserably. I hadn't read the marketplace very well, and the business closed. In March 2020, we hosted the East Sussex Marketing Expo in Uckfield. And then 2 weeks later, as you say, the pandemic hit. I was really worried because that was our final event for 2 years. And I suddenly lost 97% of my income overnight.
I believe everyone has a story to tell. Through seeking true, authentic insights about the entrepreneurial journey, I provide a platform for our peers to share their stories and inspire those that listen. This is the County Business Talks podcast, produced by H2 Productions.
Awesome. Here we are. Welcome. Guest
Hello.
15 of 24. Mr. Sonny Cutting, how are you, sir?
I'm very, very well, actually. I've had a bit of a doze, so I'm wide awake, but I'm in awe of you, Sam. I really am. It's I think what you do is amazing, and I'm ready.
Hey, listen, I'm really grateful for you coming on, and certainly for sticking around till 2 o'clock in the morning when I mentioned to you the slot, and you said, no, I'll stay around, mate. And I can't tell you, actually, for me, because it's great, obviously, I've been doing a mixture of online and in person, but it's especially from an energy level, like when you're looking at a screen, certainly, even when you're working or whatever, but it's great to actually then have someone in the room and being able to chat to him. So, mate, I'm genuinely grateful for you.
No worries.
So, look, mate, we're going to jump straight in. I'll just tell listeners a little bit about your story, your career.
God, where do I start? Well, I lived in London till the age of 15. My mum, she was a bit of a free spirit in the 1970s, and she liked to move us around a bit. So she didn't like to stay in one place. She liked to have those different experiences of life. And we kind of stayed a bit in Battersea. And then we went to Godalming. Then we went to Brighton. We settled in Hove. And it was such a lovely place. So that's where we stayed as a family. And then I went to college, Brighton College, and then obviously got a job, which was brilliant. I did a few roles in customer service, in sales and marketing, and I seem to have an aptitude for those types of customer caring kind of roles, really. So when a job came up in Brighton, I kind of got headhunted, if that's still a thing. I went for this interview with this job, not thinking I would get it. I had a few anxiety issues as a kid, and I was quite short with people, and I probably still am. So apologies if that's how you see me. But I got the job, and it was quite an amazing feeling. And that's kind of where my kind of business journey started and molded me into the kind of person I am today. And I worked for BT as a new media specialist, as a sales marketing consultant. And whether you love or loathe BT, they've always held customer service at the core of their fabric, core of their business, their mission statement. And that kind of followed me, I guess, with kind of different roles that I did afterwards. But I suppose my story really is one of transformation. Starting out with BT and then rolling into being an entrepreneur along the way. And that's kind of where it all started. I got to be at the top sales awards with BT for several years in sales and marketing, which was brilliant. And that really opened my eyes to what was achievable as a business person. But after driving 200 miles a day from Brighton to Ramsgate, which I can tell you is a hard drive.
That is a long old drive. I played football there a few times. That was for Messi. So even close.
And it was a long drive. So after 8 years of doing that for BT, I decided I wanted to set up on my own. And I wanted something to be a bit less stressful. And in my mind, I suppose as an entrepreneur, I thought in my mind, I would earn 100K in the first year, kick back, and that'll be it. It didn't quite go as according to plan. As everyone knows in business, nothing ever does. And it was such when I left BT, you assume when you leave the corporate life that you still have those structures or you still have that support scheme in place behind you, like IT, laptops, company cars, healthcare, all those things. You don't get nothing like that. And when you set up on your own, you pretty much start from scratch. My first business pretty much failed miserably. I hadn't read the marketplace very well, and the business closed.
What was the first business?
The first business was actually called Y365 Design. It was a very small kind of digital marketing agency. So, it's why use anyone else 365 days a year. So Y365 in my mind was a great name. It was terrible. I was the only one who understood it. No one else really did. So it didn't really work out. And also I signed, not knowing, because I was a bit wet behind the ears when you set up your first business. And I signed the lease on a building, not realizing I'd signed the lease on the full building, not reading the terms. Or you should always speak to a solicitor. You learn that as well. And I lost about 15 grand, and I had to close the business in a very negative way. But at the end of the day, you have to go through these challenges to make yourself into a better and more productive entrepreneur.
So, how long did you run that business for?
4 years.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'd picked up several good clients, but there were fundamental things that I thought I'd got right, but I'd got very wrong.
Tell me about them. What things?
I think when you work for a big corporate like BT, you assume that when you start your own business, you're still going to have all of those elements around you. You're going to have that support process. You're not going to have to worry about things that you sign, terms, conditions and stuff like that. And you learn very quickly that you are the person who is responsible for everything at the end of the day. You don't realize that it's your neck on the line. It's usually someone else's, or you get retrained. That's not the case in your own business.
And then did you have a team of people, or just you over the 4 years? Did you employ people, or was it a consultant? How did it work?
It was more consultancy. I was only kind of running it part-time when I set up the business, because I didn't have a brilliantly good childhood. My mum and dad split up when I was when I was very young. My dad went to the States and set up his business, and mum stayed in the UK. And I ran it part-time because I kind of went to the States a couple of times, to Boulder in Colorado, and stayed with him for a little bit of time. And so I didn't run the business full-time. And because my focus wasn't on the business all the time, I think there are elements of the business I didn't always see. We were managing social media for lots of different clients and designing websites in the early days. A little bit before content management systems like WordPress and Joomla and Drupal. It was all kind of hard coding, HTML and Dreamweaver and stuff like that. And I think when you first start a business, your eye isn't on all the elements of your business. You make mistakes. You're bound to, and you learn from them.
But we still do now, don't we? Look, both of us are similar journey in the sense the salon for 3 years, slightly less than you, but close it, lost a similar amount, maybe slightly more money wise, and it's a difficult period. But what's interesting for both of us, I guess. But I'm keen to you come out of the corporate world, you dip your toe in as an entrepreneur, and that first business doesn't work out. But you still go back for more. You still pick yourself up and go, okay, I'm going to do it again. So what's the next step after you've closed that one?
When I closed that business, I actually kind of took a sabbatical with a drinking spree for a couple of weeks, just to figure out my next move. I didn't. I think when you're an entrepreneur, after you've worked for a big corporate like BT, or any corporate organization, and you then work for yourself, as much as you may hate elements of working for yourself, you also have the freedom to do what you want, and set your own hours, which you can't do when you're working for a big corporate. You have to graft, you have to put in the hours. So when I actually set up the second business, Sussex Pages, I thought about the name much more this way. So it was a dedicated website design agency, and so the pages came from that. We had a brand created, which was trademark protected, so that we had a much better profile in the industry in Sussex, and we did really well. And it got to a stage where we had just under 250 clients, so 250 website clients. So we had a lot of money coming in, and I was getting to a stage where, I shouldn't say this really, but I got to the stage where I wanted to do something else other than just digital marketing. I'd done 8 years of that in BT. I'd done another kind of 6 years now in digital marketing on top. I was kind of a little bit bored of it. So I had been approached by another agency just outside of Horsham, can't say who, and they were looking to buy Sussex Pages. Now, I thought they wanted to buy the brand. They didn't. They wanted the client base, and it was such a good offer, and I was looking for a get-out clause that I actually sold my business. I have money in the bank, and for the first time in a long time, it gave me options, and it gave me time to just step back. So I stepped back for probably, I think, 3 months, and this enabled me to then step into my third business, which is where we are now with Network Xpress, the brand that powers the Sussex Business Show, the Tiger's Pen, the Director's Hub. So interesting.
Mate, I'm just keen to explore that period of time, obviously, of closing the business and then jumping into and then going and still stick on this path. I'm still going to do that. But what's your mindset about? Did you see that as a failure, that business?
I felt kind of upset. I felt quite upset that I'd had to let it go. But I think with everything, I think most entrepreneurs get to a stage where there are very highs and there are very lows. Being an entrepreneur is pretty much like being on a roller coaster. It's you massive highs and extreme lows, and it never stops until you step off completely. I don't mean off the mortal coil.
Just off the ride.
Just off the ride itself. Off the ride. But I was sad, but I was also elated to actually get out of digital marketing. And even though I've stepped away from it as a business, I still do elements of it within this third business. I still do the social media.
And you're very active on social media, aren't you?
Unfortunately, yeah.
But that's what it's about. I guess, like, again, from the first business that failed, the second business that you obviously sold, but the elements that you learn along that journey are helping shape the new business where you are now, and a great business it is with the Sussex Business Show. Like you said, you've got Tiger's Pen and the Director's Hub, all 3 different elements actually, and as we spoke about, all 3 separate businesses really. I know you brand it under the Network Express, but they are all 3 separate entities really, aren't they?
Yeah, it's funny really, because you're right, they are kind of, when I first, we'll talk about this later when you ask the other stuff, but it has been a roller coaster setting up the Sussex Business Show. Initially, it was supposed to. I set up the website. I put all of those services under one umbrella, but over the past kind of 18 months, elements of each of those core business fragments have started to pull away from each other. Not naturally, it's just
Developed in
it's developed in that way, being that, you know, with the Tiger's Pen now, you know, has the potential to set itself up as a CIC to support students and to support startups and stuff like that.
I know we spoke offline a little bit about it, and obviously support what I was honoured to obviously come on the Tiger's Pen as one of the judges, and we've done it at Sussex Uni, and it was, and I said to you right there and then, like, for me, it's what a brilliant initiative and a great concept, and so scalable, and there's so much that can be done with it. And it's great that you're looking at that, I guess, like you say, as a separate entity. So that's interesting. I wanted to obviously leaning with obviously the Sussex Business Show, because I want to look at running events as we both have, you know, in our business. Talk to me about March 2020.
Oh wow!
So, where's your mindset out? You global pandemic, events company, Sussex Business Show, due to go ahead that year, and sold stand, etc., etc. What goes through your head?
It was one of those kind of sink or swim moments. I mean, I'm a strong swimmer, so there was no way I was going to drown in the woe of the event business ebb. It was pivotal. In March 2020, we hosted the East Sussex Marketing Expo in Uckfield. And then 2 weeks later, as you say, the pandemic hit. I was really worried because that was our final event for 2 years. And I suddenly lost 97% of my income overnight. And when you quantify it, obviously that kind of figure, other people lost 100% of their business, and they lost their houses, or you know, they lost their businesses completely. In the events industry, pretty much ground to a halt, and there was just, you know, it was a terrible time for everybody. But even though I lost 97% of my income, after that I didn't really do anything for 4 weeks. I didn't go on a bender or anything. I was too old for that. But I kind of just stepped back for 4 weeks and let my brain quantify the options, and re-engage and look at my choices. And they were quite stark. You know, it was either close the business, go back to BT as a new media specialist, and hope I was skilled enough to go up against the youngsters.
So that was a consideration in your mind to go, I'm going to have to go back into the corporate world.
Potentially, you know, but for a long time, even though we were pre-COVID, we were running 4 events a year. So we were running the East Sussex Marketing Expo, the West Sussex Tech Expo in Chichester at the college, and the Mid Sussex Business Expo in Ardingly, which you've been to. And we ran an end-of-year conference, a kind of jolly, at Maison in Brighton Marina called the Entrepreneurs Conference. So we were running an event every quarter. So I don't know how to say this, but COVID for us was kind of a blessing in disguise. It enabled me to step back from the business, reevaluate the whole situation. And like I said, I was given 2 stark choices: fold the business and go back to BT, or find another job and work for someone else, or do something radical and do something that would really challenge me. And I'm so glad that I went with the latter, because if I hadn't have made that change, I wouldn't have set up the Sussex Business Show. The Tiger's Pen would never have happened. The Directors Hub would never have happened. And the Entrepreneurs Blog, which has now got, is being developed with a new website. So even though I didn't want to go into digital marketing again, I'm back in again, because I'm having to create the websites for it, because each of these core elements of the business now need their own ebb and flow, you know.
Of course.
So it's been a tumultuous journey, but it's also been a rewarding one at the same time, because I was able to create this new style of trade show with a games theme that everyone seems to enjoy.
And so because you're in that point, and like you said, how many people did go, I can't carry on, especially within the events, I guess. But to stick in and go, I think the good thing in a way that COVID did was get us to pause for a bit, and not just to look at ourselves as individuals and who we are as people, but certainly from a business point of view, to actually look at it and go, what can I change about the business to make it more profitable, make it more sustainable, and move forward? And I think that's such a key learning to actually be able to do that. The fact that you kept it going and you didn't just throw in the towel and go, I'm not going to go back there, because that would have probably been an easier route when you got to put food on the table. You got a young
100%.
family.
Yeah.
I've always said the same. Whatever I'm doing, I haven't worked for anyone for 15 years, but I've always said if I needed to earn money, I'd go out and get a job if I had to put food on. So there's I think COVID made those really real thought processes that we needed to look at. But interesting that you went, you know what? No, and believe, I guess, in yourself that I am an entrepreneur. This is what my passion is, and this is what I want to do.
100%.
And look at the direction that's happened. An amazing show, earlier this year, which was fantastic. And like I say, part of the Tiger's Pen, which was brilliant, and obviously a lot of interest in that as well. With the Tiger's Pen is in there, which is great. But to talk to me, again, talking about some sort of challenges. Obviously, COVID being one of the biggest ones, but running different businesses over the last decade or whatever. Talk to me about some of the other challenges you faced amongst that bit of it.
Wow. I think time is the killer. Time management. I think that's been the single biggest challenge, to try to find a balance. Finding the right work-life balance can be daunting when you start a business, because you put in so many long hours that when you do eventually scale up, you think you can step back, but you can't. You have to put in more long hours because it's a constant battle with time. How many schedules and diaries and apps do we use to try and manage that time more effectively? There are only so many hours in the day, but we seem to just carry on working.
But why is that? Do you feel like? Because I'm similar, but I'm trying to address that in myself, because I think that we sometimes I'm guilty of this. So I'm not saying we all, but I'm guilty of being sometimes a busy fool. And people go, God, I don't know how you do the things you're doing, but it's great sometimes. You go, oh yeah, I love it. And I wear this badge on and off. But yeah, look at me. I'm on social media. Go, yeah, look, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. But actually, you get things are tough at the moment, like for whatever with the business is, and you're looking at this, and I'm splitting my time between that and that, and actually I'm not focusing on that what I need to, and you focus. So it's trying to address those things, I guess, as an individual. The right time management is critical to. So I think ultimately it's knowing what your goal is, what you want to achieve, working out that route to get there.
Absolutely.
And how you do it, I suppose.
It's I've kind of I've taken a different route to other entrepreneurs due to not the twins, because they're 9 now and they're their own bag of fun. They need what you've got, the same scenario. So they take up a lot of your time, but it's joyous time. The single biggest challenge that I face kind of over the years is it's not a sticking point, but unfortunately my wife, I mean, we'll chat about this later, but very, very briefly, she has MS, multiple sclerosis. And that is my time is not your standard 9 till 5. It's not, it was with BT because that's where we were and that's what we had to do. But I manage my time a lot more effectively now by not working Fridays. So it enables me to have a bit of selfish me time. In stuff like that, and it's massively important, especially from a mental health point of view. You have to look after yourself, because if you don't, it all falls apart.
It's such a valuable thing to, and I'm guilty of this. And I spoke to Camille Pearson on here, and she used a great analogy, and she sort of says about about the aeroplane mask, and you question, you always got to put. They always say, don't they? You got to put that on first, and then look after passengers, whoever that is, because you've got to take it. And she's right, in business, in life in general, we've got to take care of ourselves. I'm guilty of that, not doing nothing. But I remember when you posted that about taking out, and it was such a refreshing thing to do. Going, I am an entrepreneur, I'm busy, I've got loads of things on, but actually, and I've got a young family and a wife with MS, I'm going to take that time for me, because that will make me be a better person
100%.
in the business. And as it helped
Massively. It's funny because about 2 years ago, I think people were talking about the 4-day week, maybe a bit longer, maybe 3 years ago, and it's now come to fruition. A lot of larger companies are allowing their staff to work from home, probably partly down to COVID, but also they're starting to trust their staff to do the jobs that they're paid to do. But yeah, I mean, 100%. I mean, mental health has been at the forefront of business for a very long time, but more so now than ever before, because of the hybrid working element of, with how people are working and so forth. And looking after yourself is so important. I don't think you can't run a business unless you give yourself that time, because it revitalizes you. My day off on Friday, no one calls me anymore. I made the mistake when I first took Fridays off. I made a mistake, and I went on LinkedIn and I did a golf swing, and I put, you know where I am, and that was a fatal mistake, because then I got messages from like 20 different friends who will remain nameless, oh, you're playing golf, can I come out with you? Oh, can I come out with you? And I just got inundated with people contacting me on my day off, and it was great fun, and I enjoyed it, and I got some new sponsors, so I can't complain. But it's so nice to be able to just spend that time with yourself. I turn my phone off.
Are you able to?
Yeah, 100%. You have to. You have to turn it off. Otherwise, it's like if you go on holiday, and you go away for a week, and you take your laptop with you, and in the evenings, every evening between 7 and 9 or something, you check all your emails and stuff. You're not really having a holiday. You have to step back. You have to put it down. Use your phone at like 2 times of the day, from 7 a.m. until 8 a.m. and in the evening 6 till 7 p.m. and then just don't touch it.
So it's really interesting, because I was speaking to Matt Turner earlier, who obviously come on. We was talking about exactly this, and saying, actually, talking about work-life balance and going away on holiday, and so for me, I've spoke about this openly, and I find that very difficult one to switch off. But I think when I go away, the anxiety of me going, I'm just going to shut that laptop, I'm not looking at it until I get back, is more stressful than it is for me to go, I'll just log on while everyone's asleep. I'm up before anyone else anyway. While everyone's asleep, I'll log on for an hour and I'll deal with it. And then so for me, that I can then go and enjoy the day, as opposed to thinking that's not being done, or I've not checked that, or that's not being done. Do you know what I mean? Because then I feel personally, for me, that works in a way that I'm not switching off completely, but I am then more present when I'm with the kids at that point, because I've dealt with that in the morning.
Yeah, I get that. I mean, every person. I mean, it would be quite a boring world if we were all the same, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Everyone has different ways of dealing with things, but and you're right. In the mornings, when no one's up, spend a little bit of time. I challenge you to spend half that time and do something else. Go swimming, do yoga, do something that focuses your mind, and don't think about your business. Because at the end of the day, it comes back to mental health again. It all comes back to mental health and well-being within yourself. To step off and just forget about work. You have to. Otherwise, you don't completely let go.
Mate, I completely agree, and I'm on a massive journey, I guess, of self-discovery, really, and trying to. Hence, one of the reasons I started this whole thing
It's
with the
amazing.
podcast was to speak to people like you, and like I said, I use it more as therapy for me, because I ask the type of questions about how do you deal with that, and what do you do, and listen to you speak, and like I said, watching you on social media and go that, gee, as every Friday off, I should do that. I haven't, but I know that I should take that day off. My wife does. She's managing partner of a law firm, yet she still has a Friday off. Since the school, like since the kids have been born, she hasn't gone back full time at all since. So
Amazing.
but she needs that. She knows she needs that for her own mental. She loves having that Friday where she goes, I get up, I haven't got the kids at school, I haven't got to worry about anyone else, I can just go and do my own thing. And I'm still, like I said, it's a learning curve for me still. I'm still trying to.
You'll get there.
Yeah,
you just
I'm sure,
everyone gets there at a different speed.
Yeah.
You know, it wouldn't be a very good race if we all started and finished at exactly the same time.
I'm in awe of the fact that because like you said, again, you always say to me, "Oh, so you've got loads going on," and I talk to you, and I see you on social media, and you've got many things going on as well, many plates to spin, plus twins, the same as me, plus obviously your wife with multiple sclerosis as well. So there's a lot of plates there to spin, but you're still prioritising yourself over that, where you're going, I need that time for myself, and that's such a valuable lesson for me. I guess it's such a valuable lesson for me, so I'll thank you for that.
But I still challenge you on your next holiday, half the time in the morning, even if it's just half an hour looking at your emails and stuff.
Do you when you go, do you completely?
Yes, I do on Fridays. Yeah.
No, but not Friday. If you go away on holiday, will you take a laptop?
I don't take a laptop. I take my phone. I turn it off, and I'm away. I think in December. I'll send you the dates. And if you call me, I'm not going to answer the phone.
So it's really.
Is that Sam? No.
So talk to me about then. We've mentioned some of the challenges that obviously you face. Talk to me about maybe like some of the highs and we talked about the highs and lows of the roller coaster. We talked about some of the highs of running a business and some highlights that you've had over the last few years.
I think it's a very interesting question, and and it should be straightforward, because kind of over the last 4 years of running, you know, it's like within the event sphere. You know, you are kind of just running around like a crazy person, and you're like that all the time. So you understand that. Running 4 events a year, one every quarter, and not really making a huge impact. It was all we knew. You know, with the 3 expos and the 1 conference, that's what we'd set it up as. But when COVID hit, and it redefined our business, and the highs were pretty much automatic when I was able to step back, rebrand, and we had so much help along the way, you know, with the rebrand and with the new websites and the different elements of the business. But for me, over the last 3 years, the creation of the Sussex Business Show, just having one show for the county and having so many people talking about it, but also, you know, being made an enterprise ambassador, which I think you've talked about it before, like imposter syndrome. And I think I kind of have a little bit of that with things like, you know, like the Tiger's Pen, you know, being made an enterprise ambassador at the University of Brighton. You know, this was quite a big thing for them to make me this kind of ambassador for them, from a business point of view. So there's been lots of little things happening over the last 2 years, like with the Tiger's Pen, with now talks of it turning into a CIC as a community-led campaign to support students and startups in Sussex at the Brighton University and other universities and colleges that we're now speaking to, and the creation of the Directors Hub. You know, I never saw the Directors Hub being something more than 6 to 8 people, but we've now got 30 members and 4 groups already. Next year there'll be 8 groups. You know, so there's some amazing things happening within the brand, and this would never have happened if COVID hadn't kind of hit. It enabled us to redefine ourselves and reevaluate the business, pivot and challenge ourselves, and become like 70% stronger in the industry. You know, it's really nice, and for the first time ever in 3 years, we're profitable, which is also quite amazing. You know, we've even got a kitchen done.
When you told me that, you were always on the phone, I said, I've got some money. I've got my kitchen done, so that's a big tick.
It's a massive tick. It's huge. I haven't got any money again, but the kitchen looks amazing.
That is a win in Marble. That is a win. But I think, again, celebrating those small wins or whatever, it must be a nice thing. Like you said, when you analysed the business, you went in, you looked at it slightly differently, and you launched a Sussex Business Show, which, like I said, was a great event. Is there that moment, especially from an events point of view, where you stood there at that point, maybe beginning of the day, end of the day, when it's all over, and you look around and you go, especially for you, I think when the kids come down, when the twins come down,
that was just amazing. That was the cherry on the cake for me.
I think just as an inspiration for them, and seeing them and come down. Same with mine tonight. When they're there, they make it. It's what it's all about for us, isn't it, as parents? But look at but just for you, like standing back and a great exhibition with sold out stands and loads of people through the door and great keynote speakers, and which always helps.
nice flow towards yourself there. I like that.
Nice plug. But I think it was a great success, and I think like we say, we talk about challenges and the struggles of running a business, but actually, them moments are what makes us want to keep going, isn't it?
100%. It defines who you are, and it's funny you say about that. The compare, John Campling, he said, "Are there any key highlight moments you'd like me to tell people on the day?" And I said, yeah, at the end of the day, Granny's coming in because she lives in Ardingly. She's coming in with the twins at the end of the day, so they can get a pre-Christmas goodie bag. And I had badges made up for them. So Jim at Nettle in Face Media Group, he said, why don't you have some junior name badges done up? So I had Jack Cutting, junior tech wizard, and Charlotte Cutting, creative genius. And at 3 o'clock, when the event was about to finish, I heard an announcement. I was chatting to somebody, and they said, "Ladies and gentlemen, VIPs in the house." And that was my note. That was my message to me, to tell me my twins had arrived with Granny, because Andrew, my wife, was at home because she couldn't make it. She had MS and she wasn't feeling well. She was fatigued. And Granny walked in. I felt quite sorry for her, because when she I think she thought I ran like a garden fete or a village fair or something like that. I don't think she realised it was like a full expo with hundreds of people. She just walked in. It was just like shock. And then Jack and Charlotte saw me. Of course, they ran up to me, bound up to me, "Daddy!" And obviously we had some pictures and stuff like that. And I sent them off with their goodie bags, and that was kind of the that was the a wonderful moment for me, because the kids also, they don't fully understand what it is you do until they see it. So it was wonderful.
I love that. I know, and like you said, just pulling an event together, anything, whether it's a networking event with 50 people or whether it's a business expo where you sold out stands and loads of people through the door, but just it's appreciating, and that's what I love chatting to you about it like now, and just taking those magical little moments where you go, actually, this is a win, and like you say, then you get to the end of the year and you go, or whatever that looks like, you go, we'll make some money on it as well, which is
kitchen. It's good to me. It's all good. I love my cooking. Well, we both do, don't we?
I do love some cooking, mate. I just before you, Martin was on, but before that, I had Stephen Edwards online, which was pretty cool. He just finished been up at the Bingham, Stephen Edwards at the Bingham in Richmond, and he jumped on after he'd done his shift, which was an interesting. We're talking food. etch is on my list. I need to go down there. We have to go. We have to go. But I wanted to again. You touched on it just a little bit now about your wife with MS, and talk to me if you can a little bit about that. And that like must obviously put a strain on you running a business and looking after the kids as well, and with her. Talk.
We've been quite lucky, being that we paid off the mortgage. I didn't know how my business was going to go, whether it was going to be good or whether it was going to be bad, or I didn't want to put my wife in that situation where we would lose everything. So I did the safe thing. We put the house in her name, and this was a good stroke, because obviously I've had a few failed businesses, but you cut your teeth along the way, and you build and mold yourself into the person you're going to become. And when we I shouldn't laugh about it. It's not a funny thing, really. It's not. But when we were told it was MS, the doctors didn't tell us straight away. I assumed that she just had a few too many bevies, and it was a bit wobbly and stuff like that. I didn't actually realise what MS was. I didn't know fully that it was a neurological disorder. I didn't know what MS was, or ME, or Parkinson's, or those neurological disorders. And it was a massive learning curve, huge. I didn't know that there was things like relapsing and secondary and primary progressive, and I assumed it was just one word. I didn't know there were lots of different spectrums within it. And unfortunately, about 5% of people in the UK who have MS have primary progressive. It's the worst one. So it's a rapid decline and muscle spasms and stuff like that. And unfortunately, my wife has that. I'm actually in awe of her, that how she deals with it. She's always happy. And she just bounces along. She doesn't let it phase her. She's had to change her diet quite a lot. But it's not straightforward. But it is what it is. And I'm there to support her, 100% of the way, whatever she needs. And that's why you don't really see me on doing videos and all that kind of stuff, because I'm caring for my wife as well. And so it's not a big struggle, because at the end of the day, she trusts me to just go out there and earn the money and get it done. And in return, I get the joy of her and the twins and family.
Amazing. Mate, thank you for sharing. It's a struggle enough, like running a business and having a young family as well. But knowing that you have to, you've got to be there for her, to support her, and physically as well as mentally. But it's and to do it, like you say, you do it all with a smile on your face and in such a great way. And obviously we do them things for our loved ones, of course. But it's really admirable, like listening to you talk about the way that you run it, and like you say. But still, what I still find key, we go back to that thing of you still are able to go, I'm still going to take that time for myself, and I guess like support from family as well helps.
Yeah, it does. Jack and Charlotte, they're well, you got twins, you know what they're like. They're kind of the makeup of one little person combined. Jack's an introvert and Charlotte's an extrovert. So they're kind of the yin and the yang of the sunshine and well, they're both just rays of sunshine. I'm not going to push one down on the other, but it's their own they're just joy bundles. They're just sunshine. They keep us going, every single day. I don't care how much crap they give me. Sorry, excuse me, French. It doesn't matter how much negativity they throw at you. It's when they smile and it's just a joy to be around them.
I love you, Daddy. Keeps you going.
Yeah, of course. That's what you got earlier, didn't you? Just to set you up for another 6 hours.
Mate,
you have to go again.
That's all the motivation I need. I'm keeping going till 12. I'll see you after lunch, Daddy. I'll be there. Yeah, no, you're right. Hey, listen, we're coming towards the end. I want to talk to me. What does the future hold for Sonny Cutting?
Well, for the first time in 3 years, we've actually been profitable because obviously we had a 97% loss because we obviously couldn't run events we did a stint online with Network My Club, and that was okay. But I missed the face-to-face. I missed speaking to people and stuff like that. But I suppose now that the business is more profitable, I can spend a bit more time with family. I'm not giving up my day off. I'm still having that.
Good for you.
But I'll be able to go abroad with the kids and stuff, and just enjoy their time and nurture and support them in their move towards the teenage years, which I'm not looking forward to be honest. But it is what it is, and you just have to kind of roll with it.
It'll be a new part of the journey.
It will be a new challenge,
Absolutely.
But I suppose
obviously plans for like I said, with the three different elements, all actually taking shape in individual entities.
Yeah,
actually exciting, a really exciting prospect to see where all three of them go.
Yeah, it's quite amazing actually. I mean, it's not really kind of. Well, it will be now because it's on air. It's not kind of public knowledge, but it wasn't. I've been made an offer by a London Expo organizer to buy the Sussex Business Show brand. Unfortunately, it was missing a few zeros in the offer, so I've declined at this stage. But it's made me realise that if someone is going to buy the business, there is the option there. And I sold my second business, and that sold for profit. So there is the opportunity for it to do that. But we're at a new venue now, and I want to see how this will play out over the next 2 or 3 years, and build it into the best it can be. And you're right, the Tiger's Pen has kind of taken a new kind of spin with the University of Brighton, who've given us the opportunity to partner them as an enterprise ambassador, and for their students. As you know, you came in January last year and were one of our panel judges, where the students had to do a pitch to their peers, and we're going back in January, and we've got 6 actually Matt's joining us. I asked him this evening, he said to join us, so we got 6 new kind of panel judges, and the Tiger's Pen will roll out obviously at the show next year. I won't give it a free plug, but there's some really interesting things happening with the brand, for all 3 elements, with the Tiger's Pen, with the Director's Hub, and the Entrepreneur's Blog. This eclectic A to Z of issues that we face in business. I've created this blog, and that's got a new website being created at the moment. So there's a lot happening in the future.
Exciting times.
It's
great to be part of it with you as well, as media partner. So I'm delighted to work with you. Look, we're going to wrap up as we have done with our quick fire questions.
Go for it.
I'm going to throw these at you. One piece of advice that you give to your 18-year-old self.
I would say surround yourself with people that enrich you, and buy a house as soon as possible.
Who's been your biggest inspiration throughout your life, and why?
This was a really tough one because I didn't have a particularly good childhood. I was the eldest out of 5 kids, but I was the stepchild. So the other 4 were from one dad. My dad went to the States, and my mum. So I don't really have a single person. I think I told her this earlier, and she burst into tears. But I would say like the biggest inspiration is my wife, because she's fought through the MS. She's come out the other side. She's still fighting, and she inspires me every day, and I'm just in awe of her. It's probably not the answer you wanted, but
I love that. That's amazing. I love that, mate. Look, could you give me a book or a podcast that's had a real impact on you?
Yeah. It's funny enough, I did a blog about this recently because I read about 2 books a month, and within the Director's Hub we have book club. So we read excerpts of books to each other. But one of the books that one of the members gave to me was The Art of Happiness, by H.H. Dalai Lama.
Okay.
And it's just full of quotes and inspirational pieces. And one of them was, love and compassion are necessities, not luxuries. Without them, humanity cannot survive. And they're just tiny little things that put you into a sublime kind of space that make you think about life.
Love that. Finally, what's your one rule for living a fulfilled life?
I would say live with gratitude. I think that's the single biggest point. Be thankful for what you have in this life. That's it.
Brilliant. What a brilliant way to finish. Mate, listen, thank you so much, like I said, for sticking around, coming on at 2:00 in the morning and having this chat with me. It's been brilliant. I know you said you was a little bit nervous before coming on. I hope it wasn't as daunting as you thought coming in.
No, I should have done it sooner. You've been asking me for a year, exactly. And finally you got me here. So thank you, thank you.
It's been awesome, and look, thanks for coming. I wish you continued success with all the bits you're doing. So that, as they say, sir, is a wrap.
Thank you.
Awesome.
This is the County Business Talks podcast, produced by H2 Productions.